StrayAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, I am a proud bigot. Yes, I am a proud bigot. I'm going to explain to you who and what I'm bigoted against. Before we get into that, I'll remind you all of two things. First of all, my daily motivation, Monday motivation messages, guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day or your week, respectively. All you got to do to get those is be a member of my texting community, which is free to join. Text me at the following number, 305-384-6894. And once we start sending those messages again, you'll be getting them straight to your phone. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That is where you can have me as your direct coach. We focus on your personal and your professional growth when it comes to performing at your best level, doing so consistently, and making sure that you're producing results. We put standards and processes and systems in place to make sure that works with a clear goal, clear mindset, clear execution, all with my help as your direct coach. Again, that's all happening at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Link is down below in the description. With that out the way, let's get into the topic here today, which is I am a proud bigot. Now, the definition of a bigot is one who is strongly partial to one's own group, religion, race, or politics, and is intolerant of those who differ. Now, I consider myself to be a very open-minded individual who, even if I disagree with something, I understand and allow for its existence. Even though I may trash a thing as I'm against it, and I will consistently point out the ridiculousness of its existence, I respect and allow for its existence. However, there are certain things which I am bigoted against, meaning I do not respect and do not want them to exist at all. And I believe most people should stop allowing these things to exist. And the only reason that any of them does exist is because more people want them to exist or have allowed them to exist than there are people like me who are actively saying that these things should not be and no one should be talking about them at all. I'm going to lay out a few of them, not all of them, but just a couple of them. I think I got 3 of them. I'm going to lay out here in today's episode. You ready for this? Good. Let's get into it. Point number 1. Today's topic, once again, is I am a proud bigot. And I'm telling you what I'm bigoted against. Number 1, I am completely intolerant of the transgender movement, ideology, idea, and the concept. I'm completely against this. So if you want to call me bigoted against the transgender idea and movement, etc., then I am completely fine with that. I am bigoted against it. And some of you may say, oh, that means you're bigoted against trans people. No, because there's no such thing as a trans person. So I'm going above and deeper underneath the surface of what even transgender is about. There's no such thing as a trans person. You cannot trans your gender. You can't change from being a boy to being a girl, nor can you change from being a girl to being a boy, nor can you be a non-binary individual, whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. There is a binary. There is male and females. There's no such thing as non-binary because a binary is just how it is. That's period. So I'm bigoted against anyone who is considering themselves to be somewhere on some spectrum or where you can change or based on how you feel that day. This is bullshit. Okay, so amongst all other social movements, even the garbage ones like getting yourself jabbed during that COVID virus, those years, I was against that. Putting a mask on everywhere you go, I was against that. I still see some idiots walking around with masks on their face these days. Garbage like Black Lives Matter, garbage, I'm against that. I do allow for their existence, even though I disagree. I just trashed all 3 of them, but I disagree. I mean, even though I disagree, I still allow them to exist. I don't think they should just disappear necessarily. Actually, I do believe they should disappear, but the fact that they're here, I'm not mad at it. I'll even make some content out of it and make fun of fools who decide to follow these things. I disagree, but they can be here. I am not a fan of the LGBTQ movement being granted an entire month of celebration. So if you want to call that bigotry, I'm fine with that as well. There should not be an entire month dedicated to Pride because, first of all, Pride is one of the 7 deadly sins as outlined in religious texts. Secondly, the rainbow that was hijacked by the LGBTQ movement was originally put out there by God as a promise to mankind that he would never flood the earth again the way that he did for 40 days and 40 nights If you know the story of Noah's Ark, that was what the rainbow was for. And it's been hijacked by the LGBTQ to mean, some form of gay, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, queer, etc. I do not agree with that. This whole concept, again, of pride, the very concept of gay meaning homosexual, when gay actually means happy. That's what gay means. The definition of gay means happy. So now they've taken happy and they made it to mean being a homosexual. So to be homosexual means to be happy. That's not really what the word means. I'm against all of that. I'm intolerant of these concepts. And there are politicians out there whose positions make no sense to me. I would never vote for them, but I understand that some people will vote for them, and I understand they have to be here. I'm tolerant of that. I'm not tolerant of transgenderism. I'm not tolerant of the concept of pride or the rainbow or making gay meaning to mean homosexuality. I'm not with any of that. Okay, so as I already said, you're born with a penis. You're a male. You can't change that no matter what you call yourself. No matter what pronouns you use, you can put on lipstick and a dress. You're still a man. You can even try to get into a woman's changing room. You're still a man. All right, you are not a woman. And just because a bunch of fearful people who have lost their minds validate and affirm someone by calling them a woman, that does not make you an actual woman. I'm against this whole concept of transgenderism that is, again, designed to celebrate, recognize, and normalize this concept of transgenderism because, again, there's no such thing. I'm against any transgender person going to a school and engaging with children in any way. Whether you're a teacher, whether you're a dancer, whether you're reading a storybook, or any other reason that you be walking to school, I'm 100% against all of that. And again, of all the social things taking place in the world as of today's recording, this is the only one that I'm completely bigoted against, and I'm fine with you knowing it. I'm fine with saying it out loud. That's why I'm recording it. There's a difference between disagreeing with something and being completely against it. I'm completely against this, and it should not exist. Everybody clear on that? Good. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is I am a proud bigot. Number 2. I am intolerant of people who are mentally or physically lazy. So there are 3 truths about human beings that you should always keep in mind. 1, people do not think. Number 2, people do not read. And number 3, people are lazy. These are general truths about people. Now, I know those of you listening to the show, most of you actively engage in thinking, critical thinking. Most of you are readers, and many of you are willing to do the work because you're listening to a show that is called Work on Your Game. I'm saying this as a general rule. Exceptions prove the rule. They do not refute rules. So when I say most people don't think, don't read, and are lazy, and you happen to be a person who thinks, reads, and is not lazy, that doesn't change the fact that the generality that I made is still true. If you want to be an exceptional individual, all you have to do is be the opposite of those 3 things: not thinking, not reading, and being lazy, and you'll stand out. And the one I'm speaking the most about here at this point in today's context is the laziness. People who just are mentally and physically lazy, because it encompasses all the truths that I just told you. Mental laziness is the reason why people don't read, and is the reason why people don't think, is the reason why people don't work, even though they know what they need to do and they still don't do it. All right. Has any of you ever found yourself in that position? I am bigoted against the practice of knowing what you need to do and not doing it. The laziness is the main reason why many people do not reach their goals or don't come close to scratching the surface of their potential, because they're being too lazy. Those who are mentally and physically lazy don't like listening to messages from people like me, because my message holds a mirror up to them that makes those type of people very uncomfortable. So I share messages like this on purpose to get those people out of my space, and we get the right people in. Wrong people off the bus, right people on the bus. So any of you who's mentally lazy, any of you who is physically lazy, you're not going to have a smooth go of it around here. These are the people who leave me negative comments. I remember I was reading a 2-star review I got on Amazon from my book, Work on Your Game. Someone left me a 2-star out of 5 review. And what they said was, this author uses the word you, Y-O-U. He uses the word too often in the book. And Work on Your Game is literally a self-help, personal and professional development book. So, bitch, what word do you want me to use? All right, the book is about helping the reader. So I'm going to say you all the time because that's who I'm talking to. I wrote the book for the reader. So if I'm using the word you too much, again, what the hell word am I supposed to use? It was a ridiculous comment and criticism, I guess you can call it, that this person was leaving. And this person, whoever it is that wrote that comment, that's the type of person who I don't want to be talking to. That's the person who I don't want in my audience. So you're that type of person. You will probably already know that. You probably already turned the episode off. But I am completely against anyone who doesn't want to use their brain. I'm intolerant of any person who is mentally or physically lazy. Mental and physical lethargy is one of the is sloth, is also known as sloth, also one of the 7 deadly sins. Number 3, excuse me. I just had 7 on my mind. Number 3, we're talking here today about me being a proud bigot and what I am bigoted against. Number 3, I'm completely intolerant of people who do not take ownership and responsibility over their own situation. I have no tolerance for these people. I have no tolerance for people who make excuses, people who tell stories, people who don't take ownership of the situation and how that situation came to be, even when you are 100% responsible for it. Understand, folks, that responsibility does not mean blame and doesn't even mean fault, and it doesn't mean causation. Any situation that you're in, even though you're responsible for it, it does not mean you are to blame for how it happened. It doesn't mean that you caused it, and it doesn't mean that it's your fault if you don't want to see it that way. But let me tell you what is true. You are 100% responsible for every situation that involves you, even if you're not the one who made the situation happen the way you did. You didn't do it, but you're responsible for it. You go outside to take a walk and it starts raining on you. You are responsible for that because you could have carried an umbrella. All right, you could have walked near some places where you could duck for shelter if it started raining. You didn't do that. You got wet. You could have checked the weather before you left the house and realized that it was going to rain within an hour, and you knew you would be outside for the next 2 hours, and you would have known better, and you would have been better prepared for the situation. Everything that happens in your life, you're responsible for. And yes, you can take this to the extremes. There is no too far to take it. The more things you're willing to take responsibility for, the more power and influence you will have in your life. The more things you are willing to take responsibility for, the more power and influence you will have in your life. Everybody wants power. All right, even if the power you want is just power over yourself and your own life, you must understand the trade-off of power is responsibility. Meaning, the more power you want, the more responsibility you must take on. And the more responsibilities you have, the more power at your fingertips. So if you got a bunch of responsibility but didn't realize that you had power, I'm letting you know, newsflash, you have power. So if you want to have full power over your life and over your circumstances, you must take full responsibility for your life and for your circumstances, even when, and especially when, you are not the one who caused the circumstance to be what it is. Many circumstances we deal with in life are not of our own making. They may be of our own allowing, but not of our own making. And if you want to be a powerful person, you got to look at a situation that you didn't even set up that way, and it's not going the way you wanted to, and it's kind of fucked up. The more power you want to have in life, the more responsibility you must take for that circumstance, even though you didn't do it. Maybe your parents, for example, were bad people when you were growing up as a kid. Maybe you had people do bad things to you in life. Maybe you simply had bad luck raining on you multiple times. These things happen to people all the time, and we know this. We all know that bad things happen. Sometimes we get bad luck. Sometimes you just dealt a bad hand. Sometimes you just run into a person who's having a bad day. They decide to, again, rain on your parade. We all accept that this happens to different people at different times. All of us have had it happen to us at different points for whatever reason. However, I am intolerant of anyone who does not decide to take full responsibility for their situation, because if you don't take responsibility, that means you have no power. You can't change the situation. And if you have no power, you have no influence. You have no influence, well, why does anybody want to deal with you other than pity for you? And pity can only go but so far before someone doesn't want to talk to you at all, because your energy is draining. It's a low vibration energy. Nobody wants to be around that. So taking full responsibility, again, gives you power to alter and change a situation. And now you are no longer a mental victim who cannot change your circumstance to your liking. See, victimhood starts in the mind. It's not something that happens in the body. It starts in the mind. So victimhood is not about something happening to you. All right, so if someone runs into the back of your car in traffic and they just rear end you, and now your car is wrecked and you got to take it to the shop and it's going to be in there for 2 weeks. You don't have to go into mental victimhood over that. You could, but you don't have to. Being a victim is a choice. So when I talk about victims, I'm not talking about something happened to you tangibly. So if someone runs into the back of your car, technically you are the victim of a car accident because it wasn't your fault, it was the other person's fault. Clearly, that's on a tangible side. On the mental side, you don't ever have to think like you're a victim. Like, damn, this person ran into my car. That's so terrible. I'm gonna have a car for a couple of weeks. What the hell am I supposed to do? This just completely sucks. See, that's getting into the victim mentality. Instead, you can say, okay, I won't have my car for a couple of weeks. What can I do? Do I need to rent a car? Does my insurance provide for a loaner vehicle? What other options do I have here now that somebody has smashed up the back of my car? And I walk to work, what am I going to do? Don't become a mental victim who is incapable of changing your circumstances. I personally am intolerant of these people, mental victims. I don't want any mental victims around me in any way. So if you happen to be one of them, you have two choices. You can either start changing now, and this show is going to give you plenty of material to help you make that change, along with Work on Your Game University, or you get the hell out of here. Those are only two choices that you have. I'm not giving you another option. What you cannot do is stay around here and keep thinking that way. You will be removed. All right, we will evacuate the premises and make sure the only people who are let in are the people who can do the stuff that we're talking about here, which is taking full ownership and responsibility for your circumstance, even when, and especially when, it is not your fault that the circumstance is what it is. Let's recap today's class, which is, I am a proud bigot. Definition of bigot is one who is strongly partial to one's own group, race, religion, or politics, and is intolerant of those who differ. Point number one, I am intolerant of the trans movement. I do not agree with the trans movement. There is no such thing as a transgender person. You cannot trans your gender. You can't change from being a boy to a girl, from a girl to a boy, or from a girl or a boy to a non-binary person, or to a whatever other nonsense they have out here today. You can't do this. This is impossible. It is not real. It is not a thing, and I refuse to participate. Number two, I'm intolerant of people who are mentally or physically lazy. Sloth is one of the 7 deadly sins. Many people are out here being way too lazy, but claiming to want an outcome that is way outsized in terms of effort from what they're giving right now, and then wondering why they're not getting it. This is the reason why. You can't be lazy. And number three, am I intolerant of people who do not take ownership and responsibility over their own situation? Yes, I am. I'm intolerant of these people because everybody wants power, even if it's just power over yourself in your own life. You got to understand the trade-off of power is responsibility. With responsibility comes ownership and influence. If you want to influence other people, then you have to be willing to take responsibility and ownership over your own situation, which allows you to eventually influence other people and circumstances. All that said, text me, see you in my community. Numbers down below in the description. And workonyourgameuniversity.com. Have me as your direct coach, working with me directly in the university. Again, get access to all of our trainings like Bulletproof Mindset, Business Builder Framework, Work on Your Game System, Next Mission Program. All that happens at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work